In the silent depths of his cave abode, where even time seemed to hold its breath, Han Li prepared to confront the one enemy he could never escape himself. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Activate the formation. Koi Huan and the women had been wholly absorbed. In the seal, their senses stretched taut. The instant the second nascent soul showed signs of escape, they reacted without the slightest delay. In perfect unison, the 36 disciples of the drifting cloud, Sect, flung their formation plates and flags into the air at once. Brilliant spiritual radiance erupted from the array tools. Layer upon layer of 5-colored light unfurled above them before cascading downward like a luminous veil. The sphere of black light was caught utterly off guard before it could even comprehend what had happened. It was already ensnared within the descending brilliance. Within that dark sphere lay none other than the second nascent soul. When it had been swallowed by the flames of the tri-flame fan, it had instinctively expelled all the devilish Keat had absorbed, using it as a desperate shield to preserve itself. The infernal energy had been utterly incinerated by the flames, along with much of the devil corpse. Yet in that destruction, something unexpected occurred. The nascent soul's devilification was reversed, and its clarity of mind returned. Guided by Han Li's memories, it had not hesitated. It detonated the crimson bloodsword, a devilish treasure, tearing a path through the tri-colored flames. And when it saw Han Li spread his thunderstorm wings, it clenched its teeth and detonated the ghost, sifting banner as well. The result was devastatingly effective. Caught off guard, Han Li had been unable to react in time, allowing the second nascent soul to slip away, like a shadow. Yet it knew this reprieve would be fleeting. Thus, it had already resolved once free of the devilish abyss. It would immediately unleash its nascent soul, teleportation technique, and flee to one of the 7 spirit islands. It had long prepared for this moment. Hidden upon that island was a secret refuge, painstakingly arranged in advance. With several rare treasures, it had constructed a profound formation capable of concealing its aura entirely. It was confident, utterly confident, that even Han Li's spiritual sense would fail to detect it. What it had never anticipated was that Han Li, a lone wolf by nature, would seek the aid of others. Though the formation outside had been erected by low-grade cultivators, its power was far from trivial, and now it had walked straight into their trap, bound within the 5-colored light. The second nascent soul trembled with shock and fury. Its tiny arms lashed out wildly, unleashing arcs of black sword chi that tore through the surrounding light. Yet the formation was insidious. Though the sword chi ripped it apart with ease, the rents sealed themselves almost instantly, leaving no opening for escape. A flicker of alarm crossed the nascent soul's face. Abruptly, it brought its hands together, then thrust them outward. 2 pillars of black light burst forth, each transforming into a massive sword over 10 feet long. With terrifying force, they came crashing down. The cultivators, maintaining the formation, finally reached their limit. 2 thunderous booms resounded. A hole several feet wide was blasted open in the 5-colored barrier. Spiritual light surged as the formation attempted to mend itself, but the breach was too vast, and the cultivator's magic power too strained. It could not close in time. Joy surged through the second nascent soul. Its form flickered and vanished. In the next instant, black light flashed, and the green nascent soul appeared outside the formation. It cast a venomous glare at the surrounding cultivators, its hands already forming a seal to teleport away. But at that very moment, a gentle breeze brushed past. A figure appeared. Crap. Without hesitation, the second nascent soul teleported again. The newcomer was none other than Han Li. His thunderstorm wings unfurled as he emerged from the abyss. His expression darkened, and a cold snort escaped his lips. A thin slit opened upon his glabella. From within, black chi billowed forth, coalescing into a sinister, pitch-black eye that gazed into the distance. A streak of black light shot forth, striking empty air over 200 feet away. It exploded. The second nascent soul's staggering figure was forced into view, its tiny face frozen in disbelief and terror as it stared at Han Li. Han Li chuckled softly, cold and unfeeling. Opening his mouth, he expelled a small azure cauldron into his hand. His wings fluttered gently, and he vanished like a passing breeze. The second nascent soul's heart sank. It turned into a streak of black light and fled, in desperation. But, from the void itself, countless azure threads shot forth, as if they had been lying in wait all along. In an instant, they wrapped around the nascent soul, binding it into a tightly woven cocoon. Panic seized it. Black sword chi erupted wildly from its body, exploding outward in a frenzy of resistance. Yet the azure threads remained utterly unscathed. True fear took hold, just as it prepared to unleash another secret technique, a flash of azure lightning. Han Li appeared before it, the small cauldron hovering above his palm. His expression was icy as he watched its futile struggle. With a casual flick of his finger, the cauldron's lid flew open. A burst of azure light surged skyward. The light resonated with the threads, which began to glow intensely. The cocoon tightened, and in that instant, the nascent soul found itself utterly cut off from its spiritual power. Another flash. The cocoon shot forward, sweeping the powerless nascent soul into the cauldron in the blink of an eye. Han Li pointed again. The lid descended, sealing the cauldron shut. A quiet breath escaped him. At last, a faint smile touched his lips. Even a late nascent soul cultivator would find no escape from the Heavenvoid Cauldron. Congratulations on completing your objective. Marshal Uncle Han, Kai Huan, and the others hurried forward, their expressions brimming with admiration and flattery. Han Li merely smiled. With a pat of his storage pouch, he produced 2 white jade vials and tossed them to Kui Huan. You all contributed greatly, he said lightly. These pills will aid your cultivation. Share them among yourselves. Also, strengthen the defenses at the abyss entrance. We cannot allow such intrusions again. Kui Huan caught the vials, overjoyed. Yes, I will consult with the other sects and ensure this place is guarded more rigorously. Marshal Uncle, would you care to rest on Spirit Turtle Island for a few days? No need, Han Li replied, shaking his head. It is not far from the sect, and I have other matters to attend to. With that, he stowed the cauldron and transformed into a streak of azure light vanishing into the horizon. Kai Huan and the others bowed deeply, remaining that way long after he had disappeared. Only then did they rise. What kind of pills did Senior Han give you? A red-robed cultivator asked, approaching with undisguised envy. Kui Huan chuckled dryly, already putting the vials away. I'm not sure, but they must be extraordinary. Let's focus on reinforcing the seal. The matter was clearly not one he wished to discuss. Though the massive tear in the seal had been repaired, its glow had dimmed. Thus, the cultivators moved swiftly to reinforce it. Once more, a resonant hum arose from the stone pillars as white light spread across the seal, gradually restoring its strength. Half a month later, Han Li returned to the Dream Cloud Mountains. But instead of heading to the drifting cloud sect, he went directly to the interconnected peaks. As he opened the restriction and descended before his cave abode, a white-robed woman was already waiting. He paused slightly. Liu Yu greets Master. The beautiful woman bowed deeply. It was none other than his in-name disciple. You've been here this whole time? Han Li asked, brows slightly furrowed. Liu Yu glanced at him cautiously. I'm not alone. Senior Martial Sisters Song and Mu are here as, well, we were worried, so we took turns waiting. They are currently with Junior Martial Sister in her cave abode. Han Li chuckled faintly. It was merely capturing my second nascent soul. There was no cause for concern. So you've all met China? Yes, Liu Yu replied with a gentle smile. She's very clever. It's no wonder you chose her. Han Li raised a brow. She is not like the rest of you. With the dragon cry physique, her path in cultivation is limited. I took her in for other reasons. There's no need to probe further. I wouldn't dare, Master. Though embarrassed, Liu Yu couldn't hide the relief in her voice. After a brief pause, Han Li spoke again, his tone turning serious. Since you are all here, gather the others and come to my cave abode. I have something to tell you. Yes, Master. With a wave of his sleeve, azure light surged forth, and the stone gate rumbled open. Han Li stepped inside. Meanwhile, Liu Yu transformed into a streak of white light, racing toward Tian Qin's cave abode. A short while later, Han Li sat upon the main seat within the grand hall of his cave abode. Around him stood 4 stunning women, each wearing an expression of utmost reverence. Not one of them dared to utter even the faintest sound, as if afraid that the slightest disturbance might offend him. It was only after Mu Peiling and the others had returned that they learned the truth. Han Li had already advanced to the late nascent soul stage, and was now the undisputed #1 cultivator in the entire Heavenly South region. The revelation struck them like a thunderbolt. Shock, awe, and deep reverence surged through their hearts, elevating their respect for him to an entirely new level. Han Li's face, however, remained cold and composed as he began to admonish them. There is no longer any need to concern yourselves with the second nascent soul. It has already been captured. Soon, I will erase its sentient will and refine it once more into my second nascent soul. However, his gaze sharpened. The 3 of you were far too reckless. Do you not realize that even nascent soul cultivators tread cautiously within the inner valley? Song Yu clasped her hands behind her back and replied respectfully, Martial Uncle Han, we only ventured into the inner valley because the illusionary spirit herb was of utmost importance to us. We understand our mistake and will never act so recklessly again. Han Li's expression softened slightly. He had known Song Yu long before reaching the nascent soul stage, and he found it difficult to continue reprimanding her. Instead, he frowned faintly. Illusionary spirit herb. Are you planning to refine the illusionary destruction pill to aid your breakthrough? Yes, Master, Liu Yu answered honestly. In that case, there is no need for you to continue searching, Han Li said calmly. I happen to have a vial of illusionary destruction pills. Over-reliance on such pills is unwise, so 2 each will suffice. With a casual motion, he retrieved a small green vial from his storage pouch and tossed it toward Liu Yu. Only after catching it did the meaning of his words fully sink in. Her eyes widened in astonishment, followed immediately by uncontainable joy. She hastily bowed in gratitude. Song Yu and Mu Peiling were equally elated, offering their thanks with deep sincerity. Han Li waved a hand dismissively. There is no need for such formalities. It is merely a vial of pills. I summoned you here because there are matters I must discuss. We are listening, Martial Uncle Han. Song Yu replied respectfully. The other 2 women also straightened, their expressions turning solemn. You all know that I have never involved myself deeply in sect affairs, Han Li began slowly. However, as the Grand Elder, I can no longer remain entirely detached. While Martial Uncle Lu has been handling most matters, I require someone to act as an intermediary, someone to assist him and oversee affairs during my seclusion. His gaze fell upon Liu Yu. Liu Yu, are you willing to take on this responsibility on my behalf? He paused briefly before continuing, a faint smile touching his lips. Of course. I will not ask this of you without compensation. I will teach you secret techniques and grant you treasures that will elevate your strength far beyond your current peers. And his tone grew meaningful. Though you were once only my in-name disciple, if you accept, I will formally take you as my true disciple. Liu Yu's eyes lit up instantly. Is that truly so, Master? Han Li smiled faintly. Would I deceive you, given my current status? Without hesitation, she bowed deeply. Then I would be honored to accept, whether it was the promise of power and status, or the chance to officially become his disciple, or perhaps both. Her decision came swiftly and without doubt. Han Li nodded, clearly satisfied. With a flick of his sleeve, a white jade slip appeared in his hand. He then produced several treasures, a pair of green bracelets, a blazing ruler, and a gleaming golden flying sword, and handed them to her. Liu Yu accepted them with trembling hands, bowing repeatedly, her face radiant with joy, even without knowing what techniques lay within the jade slip. The mere sight of those ancient treasures was enough to overwhelm her. Go and meet Senior Marshal Brother Lu, Han Li instructed. I will notify him. Yes, Master. After one final bow, she departed swiftly. Han Li then summoned a voice transmission. Talisman spoke a few quiet words into it and released it. It vanished into the distance as a streak of light. The others watched in silence, none daring to interrupt. Marshal Ni Song, Han Li said, turning his gaze, I have a task for you as well. Please instruct me, Song Yu replied immediately. It is not urgent, he said. In the coming years, keep an eye out among newly recruited disciples, specifically those born with exceptionally powerful spiritual sense. If you find such a person, inform me. I intend to take one as my personal disciple. Song Yu hesitated slightly. Such individuals are exceedingly rare. But I will do my best. That is sufficient. Han Li studied her briefly, then added, You have already reached the peak of mid-core. Former shown. The illusionary destruction pill alone may not be enough. I also possess yin essence pills, less well known, but highly effective for female cultivators. With a flash of azure light, a black vial appeared and drifted toward her. Song Yu accepted it with visible delight, offering her heartfelt thanks. After speaking with her a while longer, Han Li dismissed her. At last his gaze fell upon Mu Peiling. Her body stiffened. She lowered her head, a faint blush coloring her delicate features. A trace of complexity flickered through Han Li's eyes. You have been my concubine for over a century, have you not? He asked gently. Mu Peiling raised her head, her voice soft. Yes, my lord. When you first accepted me, you had only just entered the nascent soul stage, yet now you stand at its peak. Han Li sighed faintly. Back then, I intended to use the copulation essence arts to aid my breakthroughs. Yet my cultivation progressed far beyond expectation, rendering that method unnecessary. Mu Peiling's face paled. My lord, are you dismissing me? Of course not, Han Li replied calmly. But you became my concubine under pressure. Now, as a core formation cultivator, no one can force you any longer. I also do not wish to bind you to me in such an ambiguous way. He paused. It would waste your youth. And soon, Wana will awaken. I must be able to give her a proper explanation. Mu Peiling bit her lip. What do you intend to do with me, my lord? I will give you two choices. His voice was steady. First, I compensate. You release you, and you may live freely, even marry whomever you wish. Our ties would end there. A bitter smile touched her lips. With your reputation, who would dare marry me? Han Li fell silent for a moment, then continued. Second, you may remain here. Outwardly, you will still be my concubine, but I will treat you as a disciple. You may even become Wana's disciple. Which would suit you better? Mu Peiling fell into silence. Time passed. At last she spoke. Can I choose neither? Han Li frowned slightly. What do you mean? Her eyes suddenly grew resolute. I wish to truly become your concubine, my lord, and remain by your side for the rest of my life. Han Li's expression shifted subtly. That is not possible. Her face turned pale. Do you find me unworthy or unappealing? That is not the case, he said quietly. Your cultivation is respectable, and your beauty is among the finest I have seen. Then why? After a long silence, Han Li sighed. That is only one reason. The greater issue is my path. I will devote myself entirely to the great Tao. Long seclusions, decades at a time, will become commonplace. His gaze softened. If you cannot reach the nascent soul stage, you may only see me a handful of times before your life ends. That would be a waste of your life, and I do not wish to see that happen. Even with an abundance of pills at one's disposal, ascending to the nascent soul stage was far from a simple endeavor. For Mu Peiling, the odds of reaching that realm were at best exceedingly slim. At Han Li's words, she faltered. Her lips parted slightly, as if she wished to argue, yet no words came. Before she could speak, Han Li raised a hand, gently but decisively cutting her off. "That is enough," he said calmly. "I am not asking you to decide now. Take a few years to think it through. I will be entering seclusion shortly. During this time, I will provide you with pills to aid your attempt at breaking through to the late core formation stage. As for Chinna, I will entrust her guidance to you in my stead." "Yes, my lord." Though unwilling to accept such an outcome, Mu Peiling could only bow her head in resignation beneath his firm gaze. Han Li nodded, handing her several vials of pills. After exchanging a few more words with Tian, Chinna he dismissed them both. Soon the cave abode fell silent once more. Han Li remained seated alone in the vast hall. Slowly he closed his eyes and let out a long, quiet sigh. It seemed that beneath his composed exterior, far more turmoil lingered than he had allowed anyone to see. He sat in silence for a full 15 minutes. When his eyes opened again, they were calm, clear as still water. Whatever storm had stirred within him had already settled. With a sudden motion, he tapped his storage pouch. A flash of silver light flickered into existence. The humanoid puppet appeared before him, standing motionless, its presence eerily lifelike despite its lifeless stillness. Han Li examined it carefully. At his command, a layer of silver light spread across the puppet's face. Its features blurred, then reformed. When they sharpened once more, they were identical to his own. At the same time, the puppet's body trembled faintly, growing ever so slightly until even its height matched his perfectly. It now stood there, a mirror image of Han Li himself. After a moment of inspection, Han Li nodded in quiet satisfaction and waved his hand. The puppet's figure flickered and vanished in a flash of silver light. Lowering his gaze, Han Li fell into brief contemplation. Then, without hesitation, he rose and left the hall, heading straight toward the secret chamber. As he walked, he suddenly spoke, as if addressing someone unseen. "My second nascent soul hasn't been troubling you. Inside the cauldron has its fellow Taoist." A childish voice echoed from within the Heavenvoid Cauldron hidden in his sleeve. "Haha, just a mid-nascent soul without a body, how could it possibly trouble me? Though I must admit, it does make things feel rather cramped in here." Han Li smiled faintly. "Bear with it a little longer, fellow Taoist endless sky. I will assimilate it shortly and remove it from the cauldron. After that, I will assist you during your metamorphosis. Lightning tribulation, so you may take human form. Do you have any objections?" "None at all," the voice replied, brimming with delight. "I am glad you still remember fellow Taoist Han." Han Li gave no further reply. His figure blurred, and in the next instant, he had already entered the secret chamber. Behind him, the stone door closed soundlessly. He walked to the center of the chamber, then swept his sleeve through the air. A burst of azure light shot forth, spinning before transforming into a small azure cauldron that hovered steadily in front of him. A faint glow shimmered across its surface. Then, the indistinct figure of a small child appeared, seated cross-legged atop the lid, a playful smile dancing on its lips as though eagerly anticipating a performance. Han Li paid it no heed. With another motion, he summoned a stack of formation flags. They shot outward in all directions, embedding themselves throughout the chamber. A faint yellow barrier rose, sealing the entire space. Expression unchanged, Han Li formed a hand seal and pointed at the cauldron. The lid lifted at once, The small child had already leapt aside, still smiling as it watched. A low rumble emerged from within the cauldron, but nothing else. Han Li's eyes darkened slightly. He murmured an incantation, casting a seal into the cauldron. The cauldron trembled. Then something emerged. An azure cocoon about 1/2 foot long, woven from countless shimmering threads. Break! At his command, the thread snapped apart in an instant, dissolving into motes of light. The second nascent soul was revealed. Its eyes were tightly shut, its body suspended in stillness, seemingly unconscious. Han Li narrowed his eyes. Without hesitation, he made a grasping motion. Several slender silver needles appeared between his fingers. He flicked his wrist. Yet at that very moment, black light flickered. The nascent soul vanished. The needles struck nothing but empty air. Han Li showed no surprise. Instead, a faint cold smile appeared on his lips. With a casual gesture toward the cauldron, a cluster of azure threads shot forth from the corner of the chamber. Light erupted. A muffled groan echoed as the second nascent soul was forced back into existence, bound tightly by the threads, its limbs and neck immobilized. At that instant, the silver needles reversed course. Flashing through the air, they struck true. In a blink, they embedded themselves across the nascent soul's body. Its form shuddered, and all connection to magic power was severed. Despair spread across its tiny face. "You cannot escape," Han Li said softly, his voice almost gentle. "Your thoughts are born from mine. How could you deceive me with such tricks?" He paused. "I do not intend to destroy you. I will simply assimilate you once more. Why resist?" The second nascent soul trembled, then let out a bitter roar. "Not destroy me. Without my will, what remains of me? What difference is there?" Han Li's gaze turned cold. "That is precisely the point. You were never meant to possess a will of your own. I am not taking something that belongs to you. I'm merely reclaiming what should never have existed." He raised his hand. Azure light blazed from the threads. Darkness consumed the nascent soul's vision, and it fell into true unconsciousness. Only then did Han Li's expression ease slightly. Yet as if recalling something, he turned toward the small child. Under his gaze, the child silently dissipated into nothingness. Satisfied, Han Li pointed once more. The cauldron's lid closed. At the same time, he opened his mouth, releasing a stream of azure light that enveloped the cauldron. It shrank rapidly before being swallowed into his body. He exhaled softly, then sat down cross-legged. With a casual motion, he summoned the second nascent soul before him. It hovered 10 feet away, drawn by an invisible force. Han Li examined it with his spiritual sense. Satisfied that it was far weaker than himself, he closed his eyes briefly. Then he struck the crown of his head. Azure light burst forth. A tiny nascent soul emerged, his true, primary soul. It stood upon a small azure cauldron, holding a green wooden ruler. A white bead circled above its head, while a mass of black chi rested upon its glabella. Around it, dozens of miniature golden swords drifted in silent orbit. This was the nascent soul Han Li had cultivated for over a century. Its expression was utterly calm. It glanced at its counterpart, then moved forward. Stopping just a foot away, it lightly stamped upon the cauldron beneath its feet. A clear chime rang out. The azure threads vanished. The second nascent soul was left exposed. The cauldron beneath Han Li's nascent soul expanded slowly. Seated calmly, it tossed the green ruler into the air and began chanting in a low, incomprehensible voice. Azure light surged from its body. Its eyes closed, but the black chi upon its glabella coalesced into a third eye, dark, unfathomable, watching. Then the chant ceased. A beam of black light shot forth from the third eye, striking the second nascent soul. It shuddered, its eyes opening, empty, hollow. At that very moment, Han Li's nascent soul opened its eyes. Two pillars of azure light erupted from its pupils, piercing directly into the second nascent soul. It was as if something was being forcibly poured into it. The second nascent soul trembled violently. Its limbs hung limp. Agony twisted its expression, silent, suffocating, inescapable. Yet throughout it all, Han Li's nascent soul remained utterly indifferent, cold, unmoved, unrelenting. It continued the process without hesitation, ignoring entirely the silent suffering before it.